We were at Eberly in Austin at our friend Trent and Sarah's engagement party, and I remember very distinctly, I saw her from across the room. She was in a macaroni and cheese colored dress, and it was extremely striking. And I remember telling Casey, I was like, wow, that is the prettiest girl in this room. And didn't think much of it. And little did I know, Casey went over to tell Cecile that, and the rest is history. Wow. Well, after Casey told her I said that, she came over. So I have to imagine it was net positive. We struck up a conversation. I'm not sure about what exactly, because this was a little bit later in the evening. And our romantic first encounter was interrupted by Rupal suddenly face planting on the floor, in which Cecile had to take her home to her condo. And I thought that was the end of this summer fling, tryst, and thought she was gone over the horizon.
But then what happened?
We can keep going, we'll put in parts. Yeah.
What happened next? What happened next?
Cecile would probably say I am very inquisitive, and I like finding out how things work. Could also be my worst trait, actually. Now that I think about it, I definitely would say that if you ask Cecile what is a very unique trait that she loves about me, it would be my thought process on everyday, normal things that may seem run-of-the-mill, but I like to think I bring a unique take to everyday life and how I think about things. Very ironic, coincidental segue. I would be pretty confident that Cecile would say the most annoying thing about me, that I am extremely particular about many, many things. I feel like I must have had some trauma in my life to make me this way, that things need to be done properly, in the right way, how things were designed, which is a stark contrast to what I said earlier, which is my inquisitiveness and figuring out how things work. Maybe it's, the more you figure out how things work, the more you actually ruin it for yourself, kind of like our own interests and passions and hobbies around sushi and wine and coffee. It's kind of like ignorance is bliss, and maybe some things would be better if we just appreciated them as how they are. She is embarrassed by the idea that others think she is doing something wrong or weird, I think. And I think that's something common that we can all kind of resonate with. I feel like I am missing something specific that when I think about this again, I'm going to be like, why didn't I say this clearly obvious thing that Cecile gets embarrassed about all the time? So I'm just going to go with Cecile is scared of pooping her pants. That is a very good question. You could say I made the first move by telling Casey that I was interested in her, but she had to come over in the first place. I don't think I would have, no, F that, I would have gone over. So it was me. It was definitely me. Without me, we would not be here, and I'm sticking to that. This is a definitive answer that I know Cecile will get right because I have a pretty bad memory normally in life, and this is one of those things I will never ever forget. We're in Vegas for my birthday. We had just been dating for a few months. We are with Casey and John and Uzma and Nick. We're at Carbone. We're in one of those round tables with the high backs, those booths. And I'm sitting on the end, and we're just having a grand old time, eating some spicy rigatoni, enjoying each other's company. And out of the blue, Cecile turns to me and says, "I love you." And I was taken aback because I'm like, here? Now? And so I said it back. And she knows I didn't really mean it or know that I meant it at that moment in time. But I was like, what am I going to do? This could be a trip ruiner if this doesn't happen. So I made a business decision. I think there was a point in time where a lot of different things in our life meshed together properly and multiple things felt right at the same time. Examples being our approaches to our careers, our approaches to our lives. I met her parents, her family. She met my parents. All of those super important pillars of what it means to find the right person. Nothing ever stuck out to me, which is a great thing because it felt so natural. It felt like there were no red flags. It didn't stick out because everything moved so smoothly. I remember the first time we visited her parents, we went out and played golf. It was Cecile, me, Drew, and Gary, and it just felt so natural, felt so right. I was like, wow, what a compliment to my life of the other half that I have that I've never had before. You know, this is amazing. I remember feeling so ecstatic, and even in that moment, I remember telling Cecile how I felt, and I'm sure she recalls that moment very vividly as well, because I do, going back to the bad memory thing, don't remember that many things, but remember that very distinctively. And it is one of those things that it wasn't necessarily one single moment, but in a very small window of time, it felt right around then. Couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 months after we started. It was apparent very, very early on. It's no surprise that Cecile and I love eating and drinking. Talking about complementary hobbies and likes, Cecile loves making cocktails. It's a hobby she picked up during COVID when she lived with Rupal. Thank you, Rupal, if you initiated that. We love exploring new restaurants. And I think one thing that has been great for us is a lot of our friends also exploring new restaurants. And the concept of finding a new restaurant is a great metaphor for some life phases that we've gotten to go through together, from an introductory concept to maturity of where it is today. And that is, for the longest time, we try to continually find newer and better restaurants. And if you think about that process, along that path, along that journey, you're gonna find some restaurants that you really, really like. Some examples for us would be Squabble, or El Tiempo, or Toasted Coconut, or Cata Rabata, something like that. When you've identified those things that you love spending your time on, there's a huge opportunity cost in trying to look for something else. And I think in the beginning of our journey, it was all about what's the next new thing? What is bigger? What is better? And as we've matured in our own process, we've realized to sit down, take time to appreciate the things that we have found and really loved. It's so easy to brush those aside and say, what's the next bigger and better thing? And not really smell the roses. I think we've taken that approach to a lot of different areas in our life, and it's something we actively talk about pretty often, and I think it's really, really helped us grow. Least favorite, some consulting speak here. Least favorite can be defined by many different things, and I'm going to go with the least favorite things to me are the most difficult ones to do. And it's not necessarily difficult in the terms of pulling the most weight or taking the most time, but for me, it's the things that aren't organic, and it's things I wasn't used to doing. So let me give you an example. One day we decided that I would help Cecile around the house by watering our plants on a regular basis. Well, I don't know how many plant lovers are in the room right now, but different plants got all kinds of different watering schedules and water volumes, and some of them you got to water at the top, some you got to water at the base, some you got to mist the leaves, some you got to sprinkle some fairy dust, So instead of putting out a schedule on what plant needs what watering and memorizing that, what did I do? I went and researched a home plant automation sensor watering system to tell me when each plant needed to be watered. I haven't implemented this yet, unfortunately, because it's a little bit more complex, and I think I need to write some Python because I didn't read the instructions that clearly before I ordered. But that is in the works. Hope is excited about the watering system, as you can hear. Honestly, it's going to be when we got engaged, because one, short list to pick from because my memory's so bad, but two, everything came together so perfectly. I couldn't have even planned that this went off without a hitch. We, I had the ring ready. I put it in a place where I knew she would never look, which is in my golf bag. And we decided to visit some friends that live in San Antonio. And I decided I was gonna propose on the golf course somewhere. Cecile also loves playing golf. It felt right. And so I talked to my friend Mark Batis. He said, yeah, let's do it on the tee box of like the first or second hole. Get it out of the way, then we can play some golf and enjoy the rest of our day. And so our plan was, hey, Cecile, let's go play some golf with Mark. Catherine will ride along, and we'll have a great day. A lot of wrenches got thrown into this plan. First off, I pulled some muscles in my side and could barely swing a golf club, and I was recovering. And I had a big golf trip in a couple weeks, and so I couldn't swing very hard. Cecile's like, are you sure you want to play golf? I was like, yes, definitely, yeah, totally. We arrive at the golf course, first tee box. So I'm going to do it the first tee box. And I had a whole plan on how it was going to work, and I debriefed Mark. It was going to be the first tee box, and if for whatever reason it doesn't work there, we're going to pick another tee box, and I'll give the signal when I'm ready. First tee box ends up being right next to the driving range. I'm like, no, nix this. Wait until the second tee box. So something to know about Cecile during this time is she was incredibly busy with work. So even on this Saturday, she's riding along in the golf cart on her laptop, sending emails, sending people's pings. I don't think she even played the first hole, actually. So we get to the second tee box. She's on her computer. I pull out my tripod. Ironically, the same exact tripod that's filming this video. Cecile didn't think anything of it because I had gotten this tripod specifically to film my own terrible golf swing. And I would set it up all the time. And I remember her saying verbatim, "Oh my God, you brought the tripod?" and went directly back to her laptop. So when I set up the tripod to take some video of me proposing, no one was the wiser. Tripod set up, I hit a ball, Cecile hits her ball. I get down on one knee. Mark and Catherine are there taking video. I got video on the tripod. It was just a beautiful moment. I just remember how happy Cecile was and the joy that us four collectively had. Golf totally went out the window for Cecile because she spent the rest of the time FaceTiming her friends while Mark and I played 9 holes before my side flared up. And that was the day, my favorite memory. Cecile has tried very, very hard to prevent me from figuring this out. The only thing she has ever asked me about what I like in like a wedding dress or that type of thing, or the only attribute that she knows I like is I really like high-necked dresses. I think they're like kind of regal and kind of cool. That's the only thing that I would think that this dress has from an attribute perspective. I don't really have a vision for what anything else is going to be. I picture it having a lot of flat components compared to like textured or lacy components. I definitely expect there to be some lacy components. I think that's a hallmark feature of wedding dresses. You're gonna be shocked to know that I haven't really paid that much attention to other women's wedding dresses before. Apologies for everyone in the room whose weddings I've gone to. I think it will have, I don't know, maybe some shoulders of some sort, is my guess. I don't think it's gonna have a massive tail thing. I do know she's gonna have a veil. By the way, veil, biggest ripoff in wedding overall. And there's a lot of ripoffs in the wedding vendor ecosystem, but none more than the veil. You know, you got a piece of cheesecloth dangling from a comb, and they're like, that'll be $17.38, you know? Yeah, that's what I think it'll be. I really am excited to get everyone in our lives that is important to us together in one place. And it is something that Cecile knows I feel very strongly about. And I got a small glimpse of it at my bachelor party, to have those guys there. Sorry, Andrew, you weren't able to make it at the time. But it was just such a strong emotion that I felt to know that this is the one time, you know, that this group will be here in this moment, and to have that magnified for everyone, including our families and the whole collective of our friends to be in one place will be really special. Cecile is the most supportive person that I know, and she constantly builds you up and is an enabler of sorts, really, in the best way possible, in that whatever your hopes and dreams are, if you're me, if you're one of her friends, if you're one of her family, she always looks for how we can make things happen, instead of something that I do is why can't we do something? And she is the most positive in that regard, in making people and me believe in our own dreams and aspirations. And I would not have the confidence or drive to do a lot of the things that I do without her support, because I would have found the points of failure much quicker than I would have found reasons and ways that I could be successful. Cecile, I know you're having an absolute blast. You are the life of the party. You bring the energy for others to follow, like always. I hope that you have enjoyed seeing all of your plans come to fruition. I know you did an amazing job and worked extremely hard to make this weekend exactly what you wanted. I hope Summa Maya was worth the hype from what Casey and John and I have told you about it. I know it's Saturday at this point and the weekend is coming to a close, but I just really hope you cherish all of these memories that you've made this weekend with your girls.